Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Noha Polak from Progressive Pediatrics in Union City and Bayonne, New Jersey. I've been practicing pediatrics since 1996, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Patrice Reynolds.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Polak. I am Dr. Patrice Reynolds. I am a general pediatrician and I've been practicing since 2004. And I am currently working in the Bayonne office with Advocare Progressive Pediatrics.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this with me, Dr. Reynolds. So,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Reynolds, today we are going to discuss issues of sleep in children and adolescents. So, in your experience, what kind of issues can arise if children do not get a good night's sleep?
So, we actually see children presenting to us with these types of complaints. And what the parents tell us is that children are having trouble in school. So, they could be having trouble with focus, they could be having trouble with inattentiveness. They could also be having emotional problems. So they could be feeling depressed. They could be feeling sad. There can be excessive worry or anxiety. And another common complaint that we hear is children just being tired. Maybe they're falling asleep during the day. So parents are concerned about that when they come in.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I have the same exact issues. So, in my experience, sleep has to do with both genetics and environment. So, we
Mhm.
can't change our genetics a whole lot. So, today we're going to be discussing strategies to help change the environment so that our kids can sleep a little bit better.
Great.
So, Dr. Reynolds, what do you think causes poor sleep in some kids?
Sure. So I think that anything that stimulates a child will go on to cause poor sleep, or I should say, can go on to cause poor sleep. So when I think of stimulants, I break it down into different categories. So a stimulant can be a medication. We actually treat some conditions with stimulant medication, but it can also be a side effect. Stimulants can be substances containing caffeine. Another type of stimulant could be devices, specifically screens, when they are used, especially very close to bedtime. That can actually decrease the amounts of melatonin that your brain produces and cause difficulty with initiating sleep.
Yep, I totally agree. So let's go into the strategies to help our parents hopefully get their kids to sleep better. So it's been my experience that sleep starts during the daytime, how well your child sleeps. So if your child is overscheduled during the day, then it will be hard for them to wind down. So please take a look at what your child's schedule looks like during the day. If they're going from one class to another class to another class to one activity to another activity, and then you expect them to fall asleep easily, that's not really reasonable because they do need downtime during the day and especially in the evenings after dinner. They need downtime in order for them to fall asleep well and to get a restful night's sleep. What other strategies do you think we should say?
So back to devices, that's kind of a common theme, but I think that if parents set limits on devices, that really helps a lot. So some specific strategies that parents can use involve device-free weekends. That's an example of one. And then looking during the week, parents can set a curfew for devices. So at whatever time the parents decide, the children must power off their devices. We often tell parents, or we suggest to parents, that the devices be stored outside of the bedroom also, because it can be very tempting for the child to just, reach for the device when they're lying in bed and they're supposed to be going to sleep. So, another strategy is to charge the devices outside of the bedroom at night, and that's very helpful.
I totally agree with you. I know a lot of teenagers like to text throughout the night and post throughout the
Absolutely.
night, and there's no way you can get a good night's sleep with that much stimulation around you. You're right.
Exactly.
Yep. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is what happens after school in terms of naps. So if your child is tired after school and it's before 4 p.m., it's okay for them to take a nap for an hour. but no longer than an hour, no 4 hour naps, because then they cannot fall asleep at night. But if it's after 4 p.m. and they do take a nap, it's going to ruin their night's sleep. So we do not recommend that you let your child sleep after 4 p.m. And if it's before 4 p.m., to limit it to a maximum of an hour per day. And also on weekends, it's really important that there's some schedule. Now, we all want to sleep in a little bit on weekends, and if we sleep an extra hour, maximum two, that's okay. But if your teenager
Mhm.
wants to sleep an extra 4 hours and wake up at noon, well, that's going to ruin the rest of the week's sleep schedule.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I don't think you should do that. So let them sleep an hour or maximum two on weekends extra, but not much more than that. What else, Dr. Reynolds?
One thing that I like to bring up involves meditation and yoga and deep breathing exercises. So, there's a specific technique that many families have found helpful, and it's called the 478 technique for deep breathing. And I'll explain the technique. So you're basically going to count in your head and you inhale for a count of 4 seconds. Don't rush it. It should be nice and slow and a steady pace. Then you will hold your breath for 7 seconds. Again, you're counting in your head and you're trying to relax. It's helpful to close your eyes as you're doing this exercise. And then you will exhale for a count of 8 seconds. And this activity can be repeated up to 1 minute. It's suggested just initially so that you can get used to doing the exercise, but eventually to do it in 5 minute increments. And it can be done with the children, with the parents, as a family, with the grandparents, with everyone. And it helps everyone to relax and turn off those stress hormones, which can really contribute to poor sleep.
I love this method. I tried it myself when Dr. Reynolds introduced it to me, and it really is helpful. It helps to turn off a part of your brain that is really stressed out, that causes the fight or flight response. So it helps you to
Hmm.
fall asleep. So 478 breathing. I love it. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so the last thing that I'd like to discuss in terms of strategies is gratitude journaling or journaling in general. Now, younger children can't really do this, but it's great for teenagers. If they can have a journal where they can write three at minimum or more if they like, three things that they're grateful for or thankful for during the day. It could be something really simple, like it was a sunny day today, or I enjoyed walking in the rain. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be my lipstick looks great today or something like that. It's fine. And that can help to say about that. So, in terms of other strategies, anything else?
The last thing I thought about were sleep associations or nighttime associations. And this is something that we see across the board. So we see it in teenagers and we also see it in younger children. And so to bring up my common theme, I keep mentioning devices. Again, that's a big sleep time association, whether it be a television show or a cell phone or whatever. In younger children, it could be the parent. The parent can actually be their sleep time association. So they sort of require the parent's presence. And sometimes they require being close or being able to touch the parent to go to sleep. And those become problematic because if the child wakes up in the middle of the night and whatever that association is not there, then they have a problem and they get very upset about it. So it's just very important to sort of take an inventory of what those sleep associations may be and to try to rectify those. And just another reminder is to place a child down to sleep when they're drowsy but not yet sleep. That's a good technique
Yep, for the younger kids. Yep, I
for the
totally
younger
agree
kids.
with that. Yep. So we just want you to know that if it takes your child more than 15 to 20 minutes to fall asleep after they go to bed, then there is an issue that should be addressed. We'd be glad to help you address it in the office. We talk about sleep as well as many other things during our routine physical exams at Progressive Pediatrics. So you can come in during the physical exam and discuss it. But if it's not time for your physical exam, we will come, please come in and we will have a discussion just about the sleep and help you figure out what to do. Obviously, we give you common strategies today, but there are many other things we can do to help with this. One of them may be some melatonin supplements. However, we don't recommend that before we have this discussion first, right, about behaviors, because
Absolutely.
in a lot of the cases, the behaviors can fix this issue rather than, going to medications. Is that right, Dr. Reynolds?
Exactly. Also, supplements like melatonin aren't regulated, so there's not, precise dosing. So it's very important to discuss with your provider.
Yep, I totally agree with that. So I want to end on a positive note. I want this to be a guilt-free thought process. None of us are perfect, okay? We have children, right, Dr. Reynolds? And we
Yes,
do our
exactly.
best. We do our best to set limits. We do our best to have the right screen time per day. We also do our best to have the right bedtime routine, but none of us are perfect, especially during the pandemic. So if you find some of our suggestions helpful, please take them. If you find some of them unrealistic or they don't fit in your lifestyle, we understand. We're here just to be helpful, not to set any guilt in your heads, because 2020 is guilt-free year in my book. We get a pass on a lot of things this
Yeah.
year. So just to end, I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Reynolds, for joining me, and it's great having you in the practice. Our patients love you, and that
Thank you.
it is,
Thank you.
you're so welcome. But I want you to know that we're there for you in Union City 7 days a week and in Bayonne 5 days a week to help take care of your children, to discuss your issues, big and small. That's what we're there for. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye
Have a
bye.
nice weekend. Bye bye.